Wake up, America. It's Zane Chapman. We're back with another English 2010 podcast. Today, our topic is James Marshall Hendricks, also known as Jimi Hendrix. He was born November 27, 1942, and only lived to September 18, 1970. Not a long time. He was a hero of high standing. He was a very inspirational guitar player. He used feedback, distortion to create new music, loved by many. A lot of people looked up to him because he came far from his childhood. Pretty rough, with an absent father and kind of being neglected by his mom. There's no room for him to really grow without falling into some hardships. Jimmy ended up having a very bad addiction to drugs from a really young age. He became famous in the music industry and was a perfectionist, always wanting to perfect those music pieces, but fell into drug addiction. Jimmy did drugs most of his life. It was the main cause of his death. The story that Grudge.com wrote stated fame began to take a toll on Hendrix. He was already facing problems in New York where he managed to aggravate a number of gangsters who were associated with his manager. This is rough. Jimmy was falling into roadblocks in his life, just wanting to get away from it. He wanted to perfect everything, but not his drug addiction, and he was just falling into hardships. So he did try to find some solace in a tour, going to Europe. He said that New York was killing him and that he just needed to get away. Although he was already facing problems in New York, he was also having really strong problems with drug addiction. The gangsters in New York began to aggravate Jimmy, and he really pushed getting away. Jimmy, in the year of 1970, passed away due to his drug addiction. This caused a backlash from the community because so many people were disheartened by this tragic death. Jimi Hendrix, while out on the town with his girlfriend at the time, decided to go to a party, and while he was back at home, was drinking wine with his girlfriend all night. Well, things took a turn for Jimmy, and he decided to take 20 times the recommended dose of sleeping pills, which weren't even his. They were his girlfriend's, which resulted in a death. Although he had an absent father, and he faced many problems through childhood, he still created music that everybody loves to this day. Nobody wants to sit and not have music, or at least music they enjoy, in which he did. He gave the music people enjoy. And although his life was short lived, he created such an impact that his music is still widely known today. Jimi Hendrix has guitars in museums, outfits in museums, and music everywhere. The impact Jimi Hendrix made was insane on the world. His death, declared unresponsive on the scene, was ruled as a result of asphyxiation. This shows that he liked to drink alcohol, and he wasn't very limiting on his drug addiction. This is scary. Not only is Jimi Hendrix a victim of drugs, but many other celebrities before him. The stress is unmanageable, and for him to be so young is such a heartbreak. The sleeping pills ended up taking his life, and this was a drug overdose. But Jimmy never really cared. He was a hero to many and he inspired people. But is it really that great to look after someone who had so many problems? In fact, I believe that although he did die of a drug overdose, which is very looked down upon, the stress is unimaginable. No one should ever have to go through that much stress, especially at a young age. People put themselves in these positions expecting something totally different than they get. Jimi Hendrix had to build off himself from a young age, which most people don't have to deal with that. Jimi Hendrix also had ties with Little Richard, but through times he decided to break away and start his own band, which later on also died out because he got an offer to go to Europe, but he had to start a new band there, in which he did. He went to Europe, started his own band, and it hit off the charts. Jimi Hendrix got a lot of views in his life. Many people loved watching him and listening to his music, which resulted in him going to Woodstock. Woodstock was crazy. So many people showed up, and the venue was way bigger than it was supposed to be. People just showed up through the rain. It rained most of the time at Woodstock, pushing back some performances, but the people did not care. Many drugs were consumed, possibly a baby was born, and many people died. Jimi Hendrix, though, one of the last to perform, wasn't greeted with a very big crowd, but the way he shredded his guitar ignited a whole new fan base for Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix has also been known for his outstanding performance of the Star Spangled Banner. His music, not just limited to rock, has created an impact so big on people that makes him a hero. Although he tragically died, Jimi Hendrix is still recognized and loved to this day. Thank you, America, and I hope you all have a good night. And if you're still tuning in, I'd really appreciate an A on this assignment. Thank you, and have a good night, America.